Scypion going against Michael Hurricane Herron. And let's pick up that fight. 10-round middleweight bout with Wilford Scypion going against Michael Hurricane Herron. Herron is 25 years old, out of Memphis, Tennessee. A record of 15-6 with 10 knockouts. Does have a tendency to cut, and you know that Scypion will be working on that. Scypion, 22 years old, 17-1 with 16 knockouts. He is currently ranked number 9. The one loss in that controversial bout against Mustafa Hamsho back in June. And Scypion's last fight, he stopped Furman Guzman October 2nd. There is Hurricane Herron. His 2 losses by TKO were the results of cuts, and his last fight involved in a draw with Mike Picchiotti in August in Atlantic City. The referee, Johnny Lobianco, and the judges, Harold Letterman and John Mascio. The bell will not save the fighter, except in the final round. 3 knockdowns in any single round would end the fight. The referee and the 2 judges score the fight, and the scoring is round by round. And Sugar and Larry, I mention this only because of Scypion's controversial bout with Hamsho back in June. If the fighter is knocked out of the ring, he must get back on his own within 10 seconds. Scypion was knocked out of the ring, never did return.
Maybe he had someplace to go.
Yeah. To the dressing room. And this is round 1, scheduled for 10. Herron in the red trunks and Scypion in the blue. Sugar, at times Scypion has had difficulty with opponents who like to throw bombs, and supposedly Herron is that type of opponent.
Well, Scypion is a banger, and Herron is just the same. Both guys are good punchers. I'm a little surprised with Herron's his body. He seems to be a little pudgy around the midsection.
Yes, he is.
Which could mean one of 2 things. Maybe that's the way his body is, or he had a late dinner, which is bad because Scypion does go to the body with those dynamite right and left hooks.
And we just saw double left hooks by Wilford Scypion. Scypion's manager, Mike Jones, says he's a throwback to the old-time fighters. Always fights with great intensity and a very good puncher. Right hand did not connect, thrown by Herron. And we're halfway through round 1, scheduled for 10. Most people who have seen both Scypion and Herron look for an early Scypion victory.
Might just happen. One thing that's bad about Scypion, the way he moves around, he stays too high on his toes. He's bouncing around, which takes away his power when he delivers a punch.
There was the first punch to that marshmallow underbelly.
Have you ever seen a successful fighter with that type of midsection?
Well, you find big guys. The only guy, well, he wasn't really successful, was Buster Mathis. And Larry, I'm quite sure you're familiar with that guy.
Well, I wouldn't call Herron a Buster Mathis, even a miniature Buster Mathis. I mean, Mathis was rightly called a whale and was occasionally beached, but he was pretty tough. I saw Buster Mathis against Joe Frazier, and Frazier had to hit him about 125 punches before he got him down. And Frazier was a great body puncher, as you remember.
This is round 1, and we are final seconds. Marv Albert along with Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant, and we will move on to round 4 action in a moment between Wilford Scypion and Mike Herron. Back to the Jerry Cooney story. If you missed it, it was a first-round knockout of Ron Lyle by Cooney at 2:49 of round number 1. And when we talk about Jerry Cooney, we're talking about a guy that a year and a half ago, was dismissed as just another in a long line of so-called white hopes who had fallen short. Names that come to mind: Wayne Bobbitt, Boone Kirkman, Chuck Wepner,
Scott Ledoux. Yeah, but he could be a victim of the white hope syndrome. In other words, really people don't believe that a white heavyweight can go to the top anymore. Perhaps this is the one who can. He certainly has been the most impressive young fighter, I would say, since Jerry Quarry in the heavyweight divisions. The other fighters were catchers, fellows that were out there and who were distinguished best by their ability to take a punch. We don't know if he could take a punch because he's giving too many of them.
But I really feel that if anyone's going to change that old cliche, the great white hope, Jerry Cooney.
Sugar Ray was impressed. Still impressed. Jerry Cooney doing it earlier tonight here at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, as he takes out Ron Lyle in round number 1 at 2 minutes and 49 seconds. We're set to move on to round number 4 as Wilford Scypion on the undercard went up against Mike Herron. Here is round 4. On to round 4. It's been all Wilford Scypion. And he had his most decisive round in round 3. It's Michael Herron, 25 years old, out of Memphis, Tennessee, in the red. And Wilford Scypion out of Port Arthur, Texas, and now fighting out of Freeport, New York, in the blue trunks. And Scypion continues to score with combinations.
We're holding now. We're holding. Break, 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 please.
We are scheduled for 10. And the only action round was the last one. And once again, Scypion is looking to put Herron away.
I like the way Scypion worked the body and then worked back up to the head. His only bad habit is the fact that he stays inside too long. So he's liable to see the way that Herron's retaliates.
It's a bad cut over Herron's left eye, and I don't think the fight can go on very long or anymore.
As we mentioned earlier, Herron does have a tendency to cut, and he's been taking a beating here over the 4 rounds. As you see, we're halfway through round 4, and Scypion with very fast arms would like to end it right here.
That fight is right on the brow, or just below it.
You know, Larry, I noticed that Herron keeps his hand very high. I guess that's the reason to protect himself from those cuts.
Cut at the left eye as Scypion tries to get in on it.
I don't think this fight can survive this round and the 1 minute after that. There's really no point to it anymore.
Now Herron is covering up, trying to protect that cut. And the blood is streaming down the left side of his face.
You have to give him credit. He's staying in there. He's trying. The blood is coming into his eye now. He's trying to dab it. He's a tough little fella.
And if he lasts out this 4th round, I'm sure they will check it over carefully between rounds. And as you say, Larry, it could be all over at this point.
I think there's a sense of desperation now, where before he was just trying to survive. He's a little desperate now.
And Mike Herron, who was beat up pretty good in that 4th round by Wilford Scypion, did not make it out for round number 5. So Scypion rolls right along. That is win number 18. He's lost only 1, that at the hands of Mustafa Hammer.